The Dallas Mavericks are making the NBA Finals. Luka Doncic just hit one of the craziest shots this postseason. Now, before the video starts, this is a different type of video. I'm just going unscripted talking about the game. But Luka Doncic, MVP, best player in the world. Down 3, he hits a big step back 3 over Gobert, or down 2. Big step back 3 over Gobert. Got the separation, and it's kind of weird. I want to talk about this play a lot. How are you supposed to guard that? You give up the switch. I believe it was Jaden McDaniels guarding him. You give up the switch to Gobert, which just does not make sense. Rudy Gobert cannot guard Luka Doncic. We all know that. It's Rudy Gobert, great defender. It doesn't make sense to give up the switch. It was a weird play to me defensively, because are you fine with doubling him? PJ had a really rough game, 4 for 11. Derrick Jones, 1 for 5. Not sure who exactly was in the starting lineup. I believe it was them two, or in the closing lineup. They did shoot 38.7% from 3, but 5 for 11 was Luka. You take that away, it's 7 for 20. So 35% in that area. So it just did not make up. It didn't make sense to give up the switch. If you're the Mavericks, that's completely fine. You play a terrible game. The first half of the game, it was terrible for Dallas. Let Minnesota do everything they wanted defensively or offensively. Couldn't really generate some great shots. A lot of turnovers. Luka only had 4 turnovers. It seemed like he had way more, especially when you're talking about transition. He had a couple dumb transition turnovers, which makes sense to take the risk. But if you're Luka Doncic, you usually make those passes, and you still find a way to win. You know, PJ, terrible game. Derrick Jones Jr., really rough game, at least offensively. PJ ends up being a -5. Those two come on for 14 points. Usually you don't have that bad of games from those two, especially in the playoffs. Amazing against OKC. You still find a way to win. Kyrie, really rough game. 20 points. He missed 2 free throws in the clutch to give Minnesota a really late 5-point lead. Dallas, of course, goes on a 6-0 run after that. You still win the game. And it's really a testament to how good the bigs and Luka played. You know, and Jaden Hardy coming off the bench, 3 for 7. He had a bad turnover, but 3 for 7, 8 points. He's able to give you better minutes. Dante Exum, I think we've seen probably the last of him in the series. Maybe he plays one more game. He's been unplayable all playoffs. Really rough against Clippers, but kind of had to play because Tim Hardaway Jr. wasn't playing. They're playing a 10-man right now, and Kidd is an experimental coach, at least, especially the first game. A lot of times the second. Just messes with the rotations to see what's going on. Of course, tricks out the second a tiny bit, but I think we've seen the last of him. Tim Hardaway Jr. really rough, but still somehow better than Dante Exum, even though both terrible. -9 in 5 minutes for Hardaway, -6 in 3 minutes for Exum. Jaden Hardy, I think, could take over a huge role. When you're going to the backups, when you're going to the reserves, if Kyrie or Luka ever sits, I feel comfortable if you put Jaden Hardy in. He feels like he can create for himself. He can create for others. He's generating actually good looks. It's not just Mickey Mouse assists. He's generating good looks. And Luka Doncic, I mean, just what a performance. I was going to talk about him for a bit. 32 points, 13 assists, 10 rebounds. It felt like he brought the game back in the third quarter. I'm not sure how many exactly third quarter points he scored. I don't have the stats up. This is right after the game I'm recording this. But it felt like he had 12, 15. Like, the game was won. Or not won, but they really had a great third quarter. It sucked that 3 at the end. I think it was Naz Reid. That 3 at the end that, took back a lot of the deficit. I'm not sure how many exactly they were down. I think they were down 7 at the end of the third quarter. They should have been down 4, but that third quarter was huge. They were down 18 at some point. I'm not sure if it was exactly in the third. They were down like 15 or 17. He just brought them back. A lot of clutch buckets. And then, of course, that 3 at the end. That's what Luka Doncic does. When you came into the series, you were thinking, can he stay healthy? We saw him against the Clippers and Thunder look really bad, especially earlier in the Thunder series. Looked really bad, really injured. He comes back, and the last 2 games was amazing. Last game was amazing. This game, amazing. 32, 13, 10. That's a classic Luka game. 10 for 23 from the field. Not great, but it is the playoffs. It's really not that bad. 5 for 11 from 3. 7 for 7 from the free throw line. Remember, this is playoff Luka Doncic. We've seen him in 2020. We've seen him in 2021. Miss some free throws. 7 for 7. We saw him earlier this year miss some clutch free throws. Thunder game 4. He made them today. And I mean, when you go back and look at some of the best games from Luka Doncic's this playoff run, you're 100% going to think about that clutch three. The bigs played great. Daniel Gafford, probably one of his best games in the playoffs so far. Only 21 minutes. It wasn't 30-18 yet, which we could see at the end of the playoffs. 21 minutes though. 8 for 10 from the field, 16 points. He got out. He was moving pretty good. 5 blocks, and it felt like every one of those blocks was influential. He wasn't great on the boards, but it felt like he had a really good impact offensively and was able to protect the paint. He's always a threat at blocking a shot, and it felt even more extra today. Derek Lively, 6 for 6, 14 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, 0 turnovers. Classic Derek Lively game. He looks like one of the best rookies we've seen. If you're going to redraft, does he go top 3? I think so. You got Wemby, of course, Brandon Miller. After that, I think it's Derek Lively, and him being next to Luka helps the team so much more. And when you're looking at Minnesota, I mean, you just can't afford to lose this game. Naz Reid shot 8 for 13, 7 for 9 from 3, 23 points. He closed over Karl Anthony Towns. He was that good. That was one of the best Naz Reid games. And you still lose. And he tortures Dallas, by the way. In the regular season, he was amazing. Had 3 really good shooting games. 1 bad shooting game, but 3 really good shooting games. You just can't afford to lose that game. Now Dallas is 2-0. They're going back home. And we've seen how they play. Or we've seen that home court before. They're 4-2 at home this year. And even if they only take 1, that's a 3-1 lead. Of course, Minnesota has battled adversity before. They came back from down 3-2 against Denver. Everyone thought the series was over, including me. And they won, so this series is far from over. This is Minnesota. They can come back. We've seen them before. But just wasting that shooting performance in the first half. They did end up shooting the same amount, 12 for 31, but you shoot 10 more free throws. You make 11 more free throws. That just doesn't feel like a game you can lose. You had a 26-9 assist-to-turnover ratio. The stats looked good for them. Now, Ant just needs to be better. 5 for 17 from the field. And missed a game-winning shot. Of course, that's a tough shot. But he did make some good plays down the stretch. But still, 5 for 17 from the field. This is really rough from Ant. Last week or so, he's been terrible. And could this change? Yes. But you just don't expect this from Ant. And being outplayed by Luka this much, having the best player in the series always helps, especially on the bigger stages like the finals, conference finals. And then you add the fact that Ant is playing this bad and Luka is playing this good. That I believe Ant has an ankle injury. That looks like it's really affecting him. He doesn't, I guess he doesn't look affected. When you look at the stats, it's clear this is not 100% Ant, which sucks to see. You want to see Ant healthy in the playoffs. He's a star. Probably a superstar, to be honest. Borderline top 10 player. I'd say he's top 10. But, yeah, it sucks to see him injured. But Dallas, 2-0, going back home. This looks amazing for them. Luka's making a case for the best player in the world right now, especially if he does end up winning the championship. And I think Dallas will win the championship after this game. You're going up 2-0. Boston, I think Boston's better, but who have they played? That's my concern. Are they going to be ready for a team of Dallas's caliber? Because if Dallas does steal one early, you got to feel good. They're a team that doesn't win a game 1. If they steal one in Boston, it's going to be tough. Dallas's off-ball defense is great, even though this game is not so great, to be honest, especially early in the game. Minnesota just generating everything. And Dallas still ended up winning, so win 109-108. I'll probably be doing some more of these videos where I just talk about some games. Working on a Jason Tatum video right now, or era, timeline of the Celtics Jason Tatum era. But I got some school going on, end of school years, so could be a bit delayed. Maybe comes out, hopefully before the finals. That's my goal. But yeah, tell me if you want more videos like this. Dallas 2024 champions on the way. What a win. What a game.